Hello, lovers and leaders out there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Sarah B. I'm an industrial organizational psychologist. What we talk about on this platform is tools, okay? Frameworks, emotional intelligence, spirituality to make us the most, healthy lover in our relationships, all right? And also authentic transformational leaders. So stick around and tune in. Remember to subscribe, okay, so you don't miss the next video. So this particular video is something I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time, just from experiential knowledge, but specifically to the younger generation moving into the workplace, okay, I want you to be prepared to meet with workers who are older, the Gen Xers, the baby boomers, that have literally been at the job, for example, for over 10 years. All right. And I want to have make a disclaimer here. Not every Gen Xer or every baby boomer is going to be the way I'm to describe right now, but I have come across, like with direct experience, I've also, what I'm about to talk about, I've also seen it, observed it through other people as well, vicariously through other people. So here's the issue I find, that for the most part, Gen Xers, baby boomers, these folks in their 50s, 60s, late 50s, 60s, that have dedicated most of their life to one job, all right, for over 10, 15, 20 years, all right? They've been programmed to dedicate their entire life to that one job, oftentimes having the same job title for that many years. On rare occasions, there's some promotion, right, towards the tail end of their tenure, oftentimes, right? They've been programmed, like I said, to the same job for so many years that by the time someone a little younger comes in, could be a millennial, could be a Gen Z, I want you to be prepared and be on alert that you might find some level of resistance with some of these older adults who have been at the job for over 10 years plus. Why will you find some resistance? Is because just by nature of their generation, they have, this is what I've observed, all right? They have enmeshed their identity with that job. They have literally married their identity with that job, that when they suspect a younger person being groomed to take over their role at some point, all right, there will be this red flag dinging in their head, and they will think, oh, job security, that person's a threat, person's a threat, and they will resist in being prepared, again, not all of them, but they'll be resist in being prepared to transfer knowledge to you, because of they see you, imagine a younger person, as a threat to their position, and they're supposed to be, older, mature, secure. But that's not always the case with the older adults. Not all of them. They're not all always mature, secure. No, it's just, no, it doesn't always happen. All right. So be prepared for this. Now, my experience, I remember, I think it was my early 30s. Yeah, I was taken over a woman who was literally, retirement was come. We even had a retirement party for this woman. So I came in to temporarily take over her job role. She was super sweet to me. I really got along with her, and we were having a good time. Like, I came in, I think it was like 2 to 3 weeks before she had to exit, the exit date for her retirement. I would ask her questions like what she's gonna do. She was like, she's gonna go on a cruise with her husband, do cruising. She said she may decide to have a part-time job in a library. I'm like, okay, great, And as she was training me in some of her duties, at some point it was pretty basic to me, and I got it, and I moved on, and I was independent to carry out these tasks. No lie to you, I was not ready for this. Okay, like I was not ready. This is one of those highlights of my career, like one of the highlights of just understanding the psychology of people and the different groups of people. When I look back, well, let me tell you this first. After actually, I lie. I think I got hired like 4 weeks prior to her end date. Yeah, it was like 4 weeks before. Or it may have been longer. It could have been 2 months the way I'm thinking about it now. God, it was so long ago. But anyway, we were getting along. Like I said, she was training me. After like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, honestly, I was pretty independent of what I was doing. Now, as we got very, very close to her send-off party, this woman flipped on me. Like her whole attitude went from being the friendly, motherly type person to just being very, how can I say it? Really spiteful. I gotta say it. Very spiteful. She would be quick all of a sudden to just be really rude to me and derogative. And yeah, it just wasn't a nice, it was so weird, even to the point that one of the employees around us, like an older woman, she was like, Sarah, you okay? You all right? And I'm like, yeah, because she never even said like anything about the woman. I suspect looking back, they already know what I didn't know about this woman that was retiring. When you're young, you don't always see everything. Okay, I wasn't clocked in. And plus they didn't, give me that knowledge about this woman's personality, etc., etc. And I wasn't clocked in because she was so nice to me, right? Anyway, the other worker was like, Sarah, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Because she noticed that something was a little weird all of a sudden between us, right? And I'm just like, I want to stay to myself because I'm like, what is this woman flipping out on me? It was so weird. Even on her send-off retirement party, I was there, but I could tell it was so interestingly tense, which is weird for a send-off party, right? But everybody just tried their best to just be happy, okay, for her and say good, nice things. But looking back, and even when she left, certain things were brought to my attention, and sometimes I look back and I'm like, was she forced to be retired? Or because she didn't give me the sense that she was forced to be retired. Yeah, when I look back, what I can really gather from that experience was that one was she wasn't comfortable seeing another person in her role that she was very much tied to. It's obvious to me. Very, very tied to. Her whole identity was tied to it. So now seeing another younger person, or just a younger person coming in, and for me, I got what she was trying to teach me. She trained me up. I figured it out. I was independent. I didn't really need, her as much. And I thought we would get along. But there was something about, when I look back, there was something about her leaving and seeing somebody else in her role just triggered her. I mean, she was straight up nasty. And I'm like, whoa, like, I wasn't ready for this. I remember asking my parents, I said to my parents, isn't it when you retire, people supposed to be happy? Like, yay, I'm retiring. Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought. But just seeing that for the first time in my younger years, I said to myself, I clocked it. I said, no, Jesus, I will never be in a situation where I have some, heavy burden on me that, I can't retire in peace, or I feel threatened by any young person taking my role. No to the no to the no. That's not going to be me, and that will not be you, okay? Like, I could just tell that when I'm looking back again, my mature mind, I'm like, she wasn't really prepared for this retirement. So then I'm wondering, did they force her to retire? But even if they didn't, I think that sometimes certain people hold some level of pride with their jobs, and they think they're the only ones can do their job. That they think they're the only ones. Now, the thing about jobs is that we can be replaced in the job. Our personalities can't be replaced. But for the most part, the general way of doing your job, you can be replaced. And I think it really let me know that that generation, not all of them, okay, not like my parents, for sure, they don't tie their identity to a job. They do other things. So I'm sharing this story because I need to encourage you as you operate through your career journey. Do not just tie up your entire identity to another person's organization. Even if it's your own organization. Like, I'm not going to tie my entire identity into organization, because what happens when your job leaves? What happens if you get fired? What happens if you retire? What happens if they force you to retire? So what, you're going to have a crash out like this older woman? When she was telling me she was going to go on cruising and she was going to be with her husband and maybe do a part-time librarian job, I'm thinking like, okay, she has a plan. But she didn't. And or, like I said, she had such a pride of being the only one doing this particular administrative type role, and I guess seeing another person do it, it just triggered her in the wrong way. So be prepared potentially for those situations. If you are a Gen Z, millennial, Gen Alpha, you are coming at the crux of somebody about to retire and they're an older person, just be emotionally, mentally ready for some elements of a crash out from them. All right? Just be ready, because that's one of those red flags that I've seen with older people. Even in recent years, working with some older people, I can tell that they are threatened by a younger person that's working adjacent to them, because in their mind, they're thinking this person's going to take my role. Because again, that generation has been groomed, including even millennials. Let's keep it a buck. Even some younger ones, you're groomed the same way. You get an education, you get a job, and you want to commit to that job. But especially the older generation, they have engrafted who they are to a job. So anyone that seems or appears to potentially take their role, they're going to fight back. They're not going to want to share information. I remember hearing from a gentleman who was, in his close to retirement years. He just jokingly said to me, he was talking about something, and he was just saying, listen, Sarah, don't share too much. Remember job security. And I was like, oh, heck, I don't think that way. See, like many of you watching me right now, I'm a creative person. I'm a visionary person. My identity is with Jesus Christ. So I'm always going to have ideas. I'm always going to have a job, because I'm always going to create one. So like, I'm never going to get threatened by someone taking my stuff, taking my job, because you know what? There's something else. So for you Gen Zs, millennials, Gen Alphas out there, and some of you Gen X's or baby boomers who are visionaries, creators, I know you will never get threatened by anyone that appears or maybe take your role or works adjacent to you. We're not about that life. But especially the younger generation, I want you to be psychologically be prepared for when you are in a workplace where it's multi-generational. You are going to see various reactions, responses, just different people of different walks of life react and respond to you differently. You may be confused. Why don't they want to share information with me? Why don't they want to teach me? Why don't they want to coach me or mentor me? Because those personalities, they're insecure. They're not secure with who they are as a person. Their security is tied with that job. But in this new generation and moving forward, my voice, okay, and I hope many other voices, we need to break that cycle, all right, that we are so engrafted and so tied up our identity in a job. There's many people in the government right now being laid off. And if they have made the mistake to tie their identity with a job, oh boy. So I want you to be prepared for this, all right? Because in the workplace, there's a lot of, I use the term psychological warfare. And if you're young, you're new to the workplace, jungle of it all, it's going to scare you, it's going to confuse you, because these older adults know the game. Okay, they'll be acting as if sometimes they're so nice, but let me tell you, don't let that wrinkle fool you, because I don't want you to get played by them. Okay, so you got to be smart, you got to be wise. Okay, there's some really good people out there, older people who are also great coaches, great mentors, but there are those, you know, oddballs, and they're very subtle about it too. But you got to be very wise, operating with the older generations who are, quite frankly, just very, like I said, insecure. Okay, I got to call out the employers of organizations that keep older adults for 10 plus years, and there is no succession planning or, you know, operations processes around to ensure that the acquired knowledge for 10 plus years of somebody who was close to retirement is not documented somewhere. So in other words, I'm talking about employers, listen please, you have people who are close to retirement, all that knowledge they've acquired from the workplace, even knowledge that they've actually inputted into the workplace. Why aren't you creating certain, like, you know, job aids around that in preparation for when they do retire, in preparation when you do get somebody else, maybe somebody younger, into their role, preparing them to take over that role when that person retires? You need to start doing that. It's part of succession planning and knowledge transfer. Yeah, I have to call out some employers, because I'll hold space for employers. I'm sure they love to have people who are still at their job 10 plus years, close to retirement. That saves them money from hiring, recruiting, etc., etc. Saves them money, saves them resources. All right, but not every employer is a visionary. They're not. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about, at some point, this close to retirement employee is going to retire, or in some cases drop dead. Okay, unfortunately, I've seen that before. All right, and there's no planning for when the worst case scenario happens. And I'm a big advocate for business continuity from generation to generation to generation. Okay, business continuity. There are some managers that don't care about that, unfortunately. But I'm going to have to ask the HR people out there. I'm going to have to ask the owners, the board of directors, okay? Because not every manager cares about this kind of stuff, okay? So those who are high level in the organization that are responsible for the talent management and knowledge transfer and succession planning, I need you to stay alert, wake up, all right? And get into the weeds of how long people have been at the job, their age range, the gravity, the brevity of the significance of their role, and think about risks. The worst case scenario, even if that person leaves before retirement, and they've been there for like 20 years, but they leave before the actual day of retirement, you know, to get their retirement funds. What is the plan to take over their role? All right. So I'm calling out employers there, HR people, and higher level C-suites who are responsible for talent management, knowledge transfer, okay, and business continuity in regards to the people. You need to get on the job. You need to pay attention. All right. So this video, the point of this video was for the younger generation to be very aware of some older adults who should be like mentors and coaches, but because their identity is so tied up and wrapped up with their job, they're insecure, they see you as a threat coming into their space. So if you feel that resistance of them helping you, providing you knowledge, the reason is is their identity crisis, all right? But that should not be for you. Don't follow that trend, okay? I would encourage you as you're, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, even in your 20s, ensure you have other projects, hobbies that you are doing outside of your job, okay? You have got to have multiple assets of growing, of developing, while you are still on this earth. You have to have multiple ways of income if possible, but at least multiple ways of serving mankind, and not just your identity with your job. And I would also say, those of you who have a business or want to have a business, same framework. Don't put all your identity in your business, because if your business is no more, then who are you? If you've been tracking with me, you've been understanding, you've been resonating with this video, or you've even experienced some resistances with some older workers in the workplace, okay? Let me know in the comment section. I would love to respond to you. Before you head out, remember to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, share with somebody else that may need to hear this. Remember to hit your notification bell button as well, okay? And just also let me know what you got from this video, so I can get an understanding if this is the kind of videos that you want to see, so you can have successful experiences in the workplace. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye-bye.